advertisers.
This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hang.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio. Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here, reading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, it's another groovy day. And why is that, you might ask? That's because Jackie and I get to hang out today. Yay! And it's Life Mastery Radio Day, of course. And when I got up this morning, here's the other reason, is when I got up this morning, I decided I cannot go without starting a show without saying this. So here we go. I decided it was going to be a groovy day, and that's the way I started the day. So everything's all groovy. I get to hang out with my friends. We have a couple of really groovy guests for you today with a groovy message, and I think I got the word groovy out enough.
How many times do you think you've used groovy in your life?
It's my word, man.
A groovaplex?
It goes way back to where I was a little kid. I grew up in that era, and
yeah.
It's pretty
I'm
cool.
surprised you don't go groovy. It's so groovy.
I could. Or hang 10.
Yeah, there you go.
As always, I like to start the show off and get myself centered and situated and connected. I really like to consciously be aware of that connection I have with a power greater than myself. Now, for you, it could be God, Allah, some call it the dude. It could be the tree outside your window, just about anything. But take a minute and just consciously connect to that you deem as something that gives you peace and ease, and that you can easily get yourself in the groove. How's that? I said it one more time. And let's take in a deep breath. All the way down, and let that breath out with just a ah. And just let your essence flow up from your solar plexus and out through your speaker box and out into the universe. And this time, as you take in a breath, think about your dreams, visions, and goals, aspirations, intentions, whatever it is you're considering. Think about those really intensely, with intention. Taking that deep breath, and let those flow with your big out into the universe. And here's the deal. Allow the universe the opportunity to make those come true for you. Head up, tail out from between the legs, and you're looking for those opportunities, because I guarantee you they're coming your way. Da-da-da-da. How's that, Jackie? Did I do
My hands are out, ready to get them.
Jackie is in turbo boost mode. As always, I have my co-host with me today, Jackie Bailey.
Hey, everybody.
And she created this vision and this dream and started working with it, and just one thing after another, and now it is like raining opportunity. Did I get it right, Jackie?
Yeah.
Look at that face.
A little overwhelmed, actually.
It's the way it works.
I know. Taking it all in a day at a time, a minute at a time. And I'm continuing to breathe.
You've got some really cool programs coming up for the kids. You've got some summer school and then a summit. Entice me. Why should I be checking this out? What's the deal?
Because we're doing amazing things for kids. We are helping kids to figure out what it is they believe, who they are, and what contributions they get to make to the world through their messages, through their stories, by the lessons learned in their experiences. And since we can't get together in person for summer camps this year, We're going to be doing a summit. It's less than 2 weeks away is our summit, the first week and the second week of August. It's going to be all online from 9 to 4 every day, that's Pacific time. And we have some amazing presenters lined up for the kids. It's not going to be a come and learn like in a classroom situation like our mini summer workshops are. This is going to be a summit where they just get to hear and exchange ideas and engage with headlining speakers about their ideas. And of course, parents are going to be involved in it. And it's just going to be a great place for the kids to just go and listen to some really inspiring people who have amazing stories. And they're going to learn how to be ready when school starts to, in whatever form that comes, to be able to just handle their stress and be able to create their dreams and their goals and take action toward making those things happen for them.
It's like,
so it's going to be amazing.
It's like an extended version of Life Mastery Radio. You're going to be supplying great thoughts and ideas for people to use or not use on their very own life mastery journey. So you basically, it's like planting some seeds with some great inspiring, empowering, motivational type presentations.
Right. Well, you know, kids are so amazing, and I think we take them for granted. I think we underestimate their powerful ability to contribute. And this week we're doing a workshop on TED Talks and get the students prepared for how do you give a TED Talk and how do you decide what to talk on. And in preparing some of that curriculum, I had the great opportunity to listen to some TED Talks from children. Oh my gosh. They're so inspirational and they have so many great ideas. And I'm excited today to meet with my group of students and teach them how to do that, and hopefully someday get them on that TED stage, because people need to hear what they have to offer.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like when you and I both experienced young people giving speeches and speech contests, and it's just amazing. But it's like they're unfiltered and their passion truly comes through, and they are so dedicated and regimented about what their topics are. I mean, they're just into it. This is the deal. This is what I believe, you know. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's no political correctness there.
Or no pre-programming, I guess.
They're gonna tell you what they think about something, and then on an honest form, and that's what I love about it. You know, they're authentic. Somehow we lose that as adults. We lose that ability to truly be authentic. We have to feel like we got to impress people, but the kids, you know, it's wonderful because they see their vulnerability and they just take a chance anyway, and they have fun with it, and that's what we should all be doing.
And so it's through your classes that they learn to hone those skills and really speak from their heart and to figure out what it is they're passionate about. You know, it's such a big world, and you look around, you almost think, gosh, it's all been done. What can I do? But yet there is a lot more to be done.
Yep, absolutely. And the kids are going to do it.
Cool. More at JackieBaileySpeaks.com, or you can check out the speakfeedlead.org project. Both websites will take you to where you need to go. And I think one of them is a brand new website. Isn't that right? The Speak Feed Lead project?
Speakfeedlead.org is a brand newly designed website, and it looks pretty awesome. Yeah. And so check it out. Our summit is not yet there. We're still working on all the final details and get that information out.
And that's in like 3 weeks. So she's in the thick of it. And we've even decided we're going to take a little break the first couple of weeks of August and do some replays so that we can help her put this and pull this off. It's going to be really cool. Yeah. You need help with something. What is it that you need help with, Jackie? Let's put it out there. Maybe somebody can listen. Maybe somebody listening will connect with you because they can help you.
Well, we still need presenters. There's some time slots that are still open and available for anyone who has a youth-focused message for kids. And we need some technology help. Marketing with funnels and those types of things. I am not a funnel builder. Don't want to be. So I'm looking for someone who can help me get that funnel just right to get this out here to the right people. So those are a few things we need right away. And then I need sleep, but I don't know that anybody can help me with that.
This is called building a castle. I saw this once and it was just phenomenal. So ask for help and you will get it. Okay.
Nice.
Are we ready for a groovy show? I think we are ready for the show.
This is going to be an awesome show.
Today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net or .com, whichever one you prefer, and anything we talk about as far as links will be located there. And then a little bit later on in the week, Jackie will actually create a blog post about what we talked about. So you can review it, check it out, and the video being recorded today will be loaded up on our YouTube channel. You can check that out. All kinds of cool stuff. And while you're at the website, you can sign up for the newsletter. Jackie puts out a newsletter every week. It talks about who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and of course, the blog post. And while you're there, you can check out my book, 6 Keys to Life Mastery, Unlocking Skills for Successful Living. Some of the things we're going to talk about are also in this book that our authors used in their book. So today is a double whammy. We've got some mutual thoughts and ideas about what people need to understand for their very own life mastery journey. Okay, I think we're ready. I think we're ready. Today we have Dr. Alan Lycla, and he has been acknowledged as one of the leading cosmetic dermatologists in the world for 3 decades. I'll tell you this much. He has gotten so busy, he has retired from that and now teaches people the thoughts and ideas in this book we're going to talk about. He was a pioneer in his field. He is an inventor, author of 17 books and 30 academic papers for many years, host of the top internet radio show on his subject matter, Inside Cosmic Surgery. I did a little search and there he's got many, many videos talking about that. And now he doesn't do that anymore. Well, he might consult a little bit, but
I hope he doesn't look too closely at my complexion.
There is much more to know, but he did experience a tragic event, or I like to call them serious cage rattlers that got his attention and then brought him to a new understanding of what life is really all about and how to look at it moving forward. It's a pretty cool story. We're going to hear more about it. We also have his co-author of the book, The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life, and her name is Harriet Tinka. Did I get that right, Harriet? Tinka?
You did. Tinka. Good pronunciation.
Harriet, though she was stabbed, kidnapped, and left for dead by a stalker while a student at the University of Calgary, Harriet, a gorgeous former runway, just look at her, look at that beauty, and look at that smile. It's just amazing. It's really captivating, to tell you the truth.
Thank you.
And a magazine model turned that horrifying experience into motivation. She has inspired and given hope to women who are faced with domestic violence. She is known by her students as a powerhouse role model. I like that. Who makes being genuine the most powerful thing of all. There is much, much more to her story. Harriet is an invigorating transformational speaker, passionate life coach, and blogger. Welcome to both of you. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio. We're excited to have you here today. You both have created this phenomenal book, but how does the princess and the frog find each other?
I prefer calling it the Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, the Beauty and there you go.
There we go. We got that pretty good. Well, I think it's best to delve into our individual stories a bit, and I'll start and then I'll let Harriet take her story because our stories are very dramatic, and every time I hear Harriet's story, I cry. So I don't want to cry before I had. Right now, I'm going to start with back in 2003. I was in Disneyland walking with my wife and my youngest daughter, and it was hot. It was sticky. It was spring break. And my wife turned to me and she said, "What's wrong with you, hon?" Well, for once in my life, I hadn't said anything wrong. I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't even thunk anything wrong. Yikes. So I didn't know what was going on. And but she persisted, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about." And she said, "Listen to your foot." Now, what kind of wife says, listen to your foot? Well, my right foot had suddenly and mysteriously developed a right foot drop. And with every step I was taking, it was slapping on the pavement. So she was quite right to listen to your foot. Well, I turned to her and I said, I haven't got the faintest idea what's wrong. And she turned to me and said, you know, when we get back, you better get this checked out. Now, when your wife says it in that tone of voice, you don't have much choice but to listen. As you probably realize there, that I was a good boy. I listened. And so I went to see thousands of doctors. I had every test known, probably even some tests that weren't even known at the time. And I had CAT scans. I had brain scans. I had scans. And you know what they showed at the end of the day?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. There was nothing on them. The doctors were befuddled. They didn't know what to say. So you know what happens when that occurs? They do more tests and more tests and more tests. I think I had tests that didn't even exist then. And then I ended up on the doorstep of a world-leading neurologist. And that neurologist said, hi, Dr. Lycka. I said, hi. He said, you better be sitting down when I tell you this. I said, why? I've got a dropped right foot. He said, no, you don't. You have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and in 6 months you're going to be dead. Get your affairs in order. Wow, that was quite an introduction. So I said back, is there a way to prove this diagnosis? He said, of course, on autopsy.
Oh, jeez.
What a bedside manner, I tell you. He dragged up there with
Yeah.
Professor House in the League of Bedside.
And he was for sure. I mean, here is a
No
neurosurgeon.
question in his mind. That was what this was. There wasn't a faint chance in hell that it was anything else. This was what it was. So I shot back. I'm not going to die to prove you wrong.
Nice.
So, but you know, when you go through this, you go through a lot. You go through
Totally.
a grief reaction, and you go through anger. You can bite the head off nails. You go through denial. There's nothing wrong. I can do anything. You go through bargaining. Oh God, please don't let this happen. I'll do anything if you don't let this happen. And finally, you go through depression. And depression is the worst because that way you can't get out of bed. You can't do anything. Your brain literally does not work. And it's something that goes on in your body and you just can't function. But you know, in my heart of hearts, I knew there was something wrong and I knew this was not the right diagnosis. So I turned to my wife and I said, do you know what's wrong? My wife's a doctor as well. I'm a medical doctor. She said, no, I don't, but you're smarter than all those doctors. You can figure it out. Well, this was 2003, and we had just invented something very near that time, something called the internet. Have you ever heard of that thing?
Yeah, it's in history books, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It was very...
Not to change the subject, Doc, but can you imagine if Albert Einstein had the internet?
Yes, I tell you. I tell you, and I think it was Al Gore that invented it back then.
Oh, yeah,
So
I
he
remember
says,
that
right?
too.
Al Gore invented it. Thank goodness for Al Gore. But the important thing with all this is it was invented, and I had friends that can help me. I mean, it was very primitive back then. You had to get on with dial-on connections. And dial-on, you had to use your phone, and it would go ring, for about 15 minutes, a half an hour, and finally you'd connect. And finally, you were able to do anything. But it was so primitive. We had no Dr. Google. We had no search engines. We had nothing like that. You had to get in with primitive commands, and you had to write in a language called DOS, and you had to do all these crazy things. And it just didn't work. But I had friends that were nerds. And so I looked up everything that looked like ALS, but was not ALS. And I looked up and I looked at a lot of sites, and I finally found a doctor in Colorado Springs, Colorado, that had a story similar to mine. His name was David Martz, but he got worse much more rapidly, and he was on his deathbed. A doctor from Texas came up to say goodbye to him. David was so well known, a lot of doctors are coming up to say goodbye. And so David saw this doctor, and the doctor said, David, I think there's something wrong with your picture. I don't think you have ALS. I don't think you have Lou Gehrig's disease. David whispered because he was so weak, what do I have? The doctor from Texas says, I think you have chronic Lyme's disease. I think you're bitten by a tick. And I think that this disease is mimicking Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And he said, if I'm right, and you follow my instructions, I can make you better. David said, well, what do I have to lose? I'm dying. So he started him on treatments. And within a week, it was like Lazarus. He had rose from the dead. He was back to normal. Well, I knew I had to get in touch with this doctor. And I knew if I could find him, he had some solutions that might apply to me as well. So he was in Colorado Springs, and I phoned every hospital in Colorado Springs. You see, every doctor could get in touch with every other doctor if they want to, just by phoning around. And I met up with him at the Methodist Hospital. That's where he practiced. And we talked for hours, and he said, Dr. Lycla, you know, I think I can help you. I said, why? He said, I've started a clinic treating people with this weird disease. There's about 2,000 people out there that I've treated and I've made better. So I said, wow, this is great. He said, can you come down? I said, I'd love to. When? He said, right now. Well, this was our Thanksgiving weekend. My wife had just invited 50 people over. So I said, yes, I'd love to, but not now. And he said, well, aren't there any planes in Canada? Well, I said, well, then I'll have to go and explain. Then I explained things to my wife, and she said, of course you must go. She said, you know, if this is going to help you, you must go. So I got on a plane from Edmonton to Denver. Great flight, 3 hours, beautiful flight. Then I got on a plane from Denver to Colorado Springs, a 15-minute flight, but it's a flight from hell. You see, late in the day, the air comes off the desert and it creates eddies. And what that means is the plane drops. It drops like the drop of doom at Disneyland 15, 20 times, all in that 15-minute flight. And it's terrible. I mean, I got off that flight green. I literally crawled off. And there was David on the tarmac to meet me. Wow. It was 2003. We didn't have all this high security stuff going on now. He was a well-known doctor. He just drove up and we talked for hours. And he said the magical words, you know, I think I can help you. I think history is repeating itself. So it was magic. I got treated and I remained a top cosmetic doctor for over 30 years. Now, when you go through this, your life has, your life basically goes through everything and you make a choice. You either go to the dark side and are a victim all your life, or you go to the side where you decide to help people. And that's where I met Harriet along the way. And we decided to write a book. So I'm going to let Harriet tell her story. Is that okay?
Hey, Harriet, it's your turn. We want to hear it.
So I think I'm going to try and use the word of the day, groovy.
Oh,
As a Toastmaster, I know you always have to use the word of the day and not 3 times. Yeah. So even today, it's still surreal for me to actually believe that I'm a domestic violence survivor. Here I was, an international model. I had been on the runway. I was full of confidence, yet I was a victim of a stalker. Now, my story begins when I just retired from the modeling industry. I decided I needed to get a formal education. So I registered, I enrolled at the university, and it was at the university that I befriended a fellow student, having absolutely no idea that his attraction to me was like a psychological trap disguised in love, which would later on end up being deadly. And I was your typical naive victim of violence. I was young. I didn't even know the signs of an abusive relationship.
right.
So as I got to know him, he would yell and scream and hit me, but then he would apologize. So I thought it was okay. I thought, oh, he apologized, so it's okay. So this continued to go on and on and on. And it got to the point where it was absolutely unbearable. So I decided to go to a security at the university, and I told them about it. They said, all I can do is go to the police and get a restraining order because nothing has happened. They can't do anything. It's basically my word against his. So I thought, having that as an option, I went and I got the restraining order, and I was happy because I thought, oh, life is good. He's not going to come near me. So I went on with my life. And it was one evening, I was busy studying for actually preparing for a project that was due in a couple of days. So I studied until late at night. And I looked at the time, I said, oh, I better go home and get some rest. So I quickly packed my bag. I went into my apartment building. It was only 5 minutes from the university. So I got into the elevator, but I wasn't really paying attention who was in the elevator. I was busy getting my keys ready. And as I got into the elevator, I had somebody squish me by my neck really tight. And I had a familiar voice. It was him saying, "How dare you get that restraining order against me? Don't you know that I'm the only man who ever loved you? I have unconditional love for you." So I was screaming at that point, and he wanted to silence me. So he bent down, took off his shoes, got his socks off, and he stuffed them in my mouth to silence me. And he got me out, threw me in his vehicle, and he started driving off. So as he was driving, he was yelling and he's screaming and he's saying all sorts of disrespectful things. And then suddenly we got to a spot where we saw a telephone booth. So he asked me to get out of the car and go call my parents and say goodbye to them, because this would be the very, very last time they would ever hear from me. And I looked at him. I said, no. So he could not believe I said no. And he said, "Okay, Harriet, I'm going to say this one more time. In the back of my car, I have a rope, a knife, and gasoline. I am going to wrap your body up with a rope, cut your body in pieces, and throw gasoline on your body, and nobody will ever find you. Now, are you going to call your parents?" I looked at him again and I said no. And this really made him even more angry. The second no was worse. So he reached over his glove compartment, he took out a knife, and he stabbed me 2 times on my left leg. And at that point, there was blood gushing everywhere. And even today, I have absolutely no idea how I got from that point to the Foothills Hospital in Calgary. But when I woke up, I opened my eyes and there was my father and the doctor. And in the waiting room, there was media and police. So the doctor told my father that the injury was so deep, it cut my bone, and chances are I'll never walk again. And if I do, it's going to take forever to recover. So when I had the news, I was shocked. So there was an international model walking the runway full of confidence. And here I was, a cripple and depressed. And the only thing that separated me, my confidence and my depression, was my trauma. So I started feeling sorry for myself, saying, why me? I've been a great person. You know, we start having that dialogue back and forth. And I figured, you know, it's not going to do me any good. I need to start recovering. So I started getting my physio. And it was one day when I was getting my physio at the waiting room, there was a little girl on a wheelchair. She came in feeling so happy, full of energy. And she caught me at the moment where I was I didn't want to talk to anybody. You know, when you get, and you don't want to just talk to anybody. So that's the moment I was in. But she kept insisting. She was tenacious. I just kind of ignored her, but she started talking and asked me why I was in the waiting room. So I decided to share my story with her in a version that a 9-year-old could understand. So after I finished telling her, she looked at me with her big eyes and she said, "Wow, you should use your story to inspire the world." And I wasn't sure what she meant at that point, because she's 9 years old. What is her story? And basically she told me in her family, they always think stories are impactful. So always share your story with the world. So that's what she was coming from. And then I asked her why she was in a wheelchair. She told me her and her family were going to a ballet dance, and there was an accident. A drunk driver hit them head on. So she was motherless, fatherless, and homeless. Yet she exuded so much joy. So when I listened to her story, I thought my story was nothing compared to hers. But life is not about comparing stories. And at that point, I didn't really know what she meant. And life is about connecting the dots. So I didn't really know until later on. I started connecting the dots, hearing what she had said to me. And I decided I needed to listen to her message. So I opened up my own business called Empowered Me. And it was about empowering young women and to be the truest version of themselves. Wow. And I know it sounds cliche, but that's what I do. And Dr. Lycla, big philanthropist, he was sponsoring an event called the YWCA Women of Distinction Award. And this event was about recognizing women in the community who had made an impact. There was astronauts, there was doctors, there was many different walks of life for women who had made an impact. So I was nominated in the category called Turning Point. So in that category is what you've done with your life to make a difference in the community. So I was lucky I won the award, and I was excited, and I got to meet Dr. Lycla. So I met him and I took him out for lunch. I like to remind him of that. So we went out for lunch.
It's never
and
just lunch, though,
Yeah,
right?
that's
It's
Never just lunch. Never just lunch.
yeah. So he shared his story as well and I shared my story a bit in detail. And that's when we decided perhaps you should write a book. And that was 4 years ago. And here we are. We wrote the book, The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life. So that's how we
Yeah.
met and wrote the book.
Well, that's really cool. You know, you guys approached this book. You can hold the book up for us, Harriet. Do you have it
you
handy?
bet, yeah. I do, yeah.
There is the book, and you can find it in many places. They also have a website. You can find it. It's called fantasticlife.com, I believe.
Fantasticlifebook.com.
There you go. And I really love the way you guys laid this book out, because there's some great teaching stories, and some of the stories, you know, I had forgotten about, but I had heard at some point in time. And you have some other stories that I had never heard. But then it's written in a way that you guys have this dialogue where you're talking about these thoughts and ideas, or this particular golden nugget, or you call them golden nugget?
No, we call them golden
Pearls.
pearls. And there's
Golden
a story
pearls.
why we call them golden pearls as well. Do you know
And
what
it's-
causes a pearl?
An irritation.
An irritation, yeah, that's the beautiful thing. You know, golden pearls actually exist. They exist in the South Pacific. They exist in the Indonesian area. And they're a specific type of oyster that makes them. And what happens is a grain of sand gets inside that pearl and it traumatizes it. Now that pearl isn't irritated, but it walls us off with this beautiful material called luster. And this particular type of oyster does it with a golden luster, producing a golden pearl. Now these pearls are rare. They cost upwards of $10,000 each, that they're so rare. But you see, in Harriet's and my life, we were able to form golden pearls as a result of our existence.
Totally.
We found these golden pearls, and these golden pearls exist in every one of us. They're not that way. You have to find them. You've got to polish them. You've got to make them come to the surface. And that's the beautiful thing we're trying to do here. We're trying to make these pearls come out in everyone and make it special for everyone.
Well, you did that so eloquently with this dialogue that I was mentioning, right? So you guys, you relay these stories. It's almost like, Dr. Lycka, you're telling Harriet the story, and then you're having a discussion about it. I thought that was very unique. I've never seen that done before.
Well, we did that for a reason, because, you know, this book was a product of our sessions that we talked together. And, you know, each one of us has these wonderful stories that we've come across in our life. And we wanted to make these stories, not just stories, but almost like parables, stories that have a deeper meaning that everybody could take home and everybody can relate to in a different way, because everybody relates to this book in a different way, and really makes it a fantastic book for them, and it really helps them in their own special way. And if you just take one of those pearls and read on it and think on it, your life will be better as a result of this. Your life would be just that much better. And in this day and age, I think it's important to do this sort of thing, because everybody's having a difficult time right now in this time of COVID. Everybody's going through a time when they're going through a grief reaction themselves. They're angry, or they're going through denial, or they're bargaining, or they're going through depression. And they need to go through this phase of getting better and actually getting to a higher level. And I think we can do that if people take these lessons and take them to heart.
Just study it.
So how did you guys, in these sessions where you were having this dialogue with each other, was someone recording your conversation by hand, or were they?
We were just taking notes, and we'd take them, and then we'd go back and we'd work on them a little bit more. You know, this was just such a natural thing. It wasn't that hard to do. You didn't have to record it. You just had to make it it just came about just like the show was a natural thing. It was not something hard. It was really a labor of love. It was a joy to do this. And it really was something that we had put together. But in addition, then we took about 150 quotes of world celebrities on the topic, so that each of them could have that. And I'm going to try and bring this home by letting Harriet talk about one of these pearls that we both love. And it's about purpose. And she's going to tell you how you can bring this into your life. Go ahead, Harriet.
All right, I feel groovy.
It's spreading.
That's the word of the day.
It's catching like COVID.
So one of the golden pearl is purpose, and I think it's so fitting, especially right now with what's happening in the economy and with COVID, what it's doing. So it gets a lot of people start questioning themselves, asking, "What is my purpose?" And Dolly Parton actually said it quite beautifully. She said, "Everybody has a purpose." So in the book, we use the phenomenon called the Ikigai. So the Ikigai means, it's a Japanese word for reason for being. And it basically forces you to ask, well, encourages you, not forces you, to ask of yourself 4 very important questions. So number 1, what is it that you love to do? For example, maybe you love soccer. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be a soccer player. Perhaps in your career, you want something that's a team focus, something competitive. Or maybe you love art. Maybe you want something that's a career with creativity. So that's number 1, ask what is it that you love to do. Number 2, what are you good at? Sometimes you don't know what you're good at. You may want to ask your friends. Maybe you've done something to help them. Maybe you're good with numbers. You're a good listener. You could be maybe a social worker or a psychologist. If you're good with numbers, you can be an accountant like me, just throwing it out there. And then number 3 is, what does the world need or the community need? Look in your area what they need. And then the very last one is, what is it that you can do and get paid for it? Because it is good to be compensated so that you can continue doing all the good work that you're meant to do. So once you find all those 4 questions, you found your Ikigai. But for your audience, because it's a very comprehensive, I guess, lesson to do, I would recommend you start off with what I call part-time Ikigai. So start off with what you love to do and what you're good at. So those can be done part-time. Like if you're working, you can do it in the evening. And then once you do that, the other 2 will kind of come quite easily. And that's one of the golden pearls, purpose.
That's very cool. Is that your favorite, Harriet? Is that your favorite one?
That one and forgiveness. Those 2 are my really
Oh, but she thinks they're all her favorites. She's been obsessed with all the golden pearls. In fact, she loves empowerment. She loves love. She loves them all. And so it's hard for her to choose between them. And, they're all there. They're all in the book. And I encourage your listeners to go and pick up a copy of the book. It's available on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. And it's a great little read for people.
It is. And it's very short. I think it's 168 pages or something like that.
Yeah, it's 160 pages, and it's a very easy read. But what you have to do is not only read it, you have to reread it and reread it.
It's like a coffee table book that you can always just pick up and read. Read an inspiring story. It's full of them. It's pretty cool. Okay, so Dr. Lycla, you put Harriet on the spot. We want to know, what's your favorite?
Well, I'm going to probably cheat a little bit and do 2 of them because both are short, okay? And the first one I'd like to do is laughter. Did you know that scientists have actually studied laughter? They have actually taken it and made it into a science. And, there's nothing that brings your mind and body get together better than a good laugh. And there was a scientist by the name of Richard Wiseman. What a name for a doctor that studies laughter, who actually found the world's funniest joke. Yeah, he studied all jokes in the world. He rated them and found the world's funniest joke. Would you like to hear the world's funniest joke?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hear the world's funniest
Well,
joke.
the world's funniest joke goes like this. There were 2 hunters. They went out into the woods, and one dropped down. He looked like he was dead. His buddy shook him. Buddy, wake up. He didn't move. So he phones 911. In this day and age, cell phones work everywhere. So he got in touch with the operator. Operator, help me. My buddy, I think he's dead. The operator said, calm down, sir. This happens all the time. Could you please make sure he's dead? So he went over. You could hear the phone drop down. You could hear a loud click and then a loud bang as the gun is discharged. And he comes back and he said, okay, he's dead. What do I do now?
Oh, no.
Now, that's either the world's best joke or the world's worst joke based on who tells it and how it's told. Now, the thing about it is this. Don't we laugh at things that are the craziest? Don't you laugh when somebody slips on a banana peel? Don't you laugh and we laugh at ourselves in the most uproarious situation. Otherwise, we'd be crying, we'd be destroyed, we'd be crushed. And that's why laughter is so important in everybody's life. I think everybody should have a laugh and feel groovy at the same time.
Feeling groovy.
There we go.
Nice.
And let's go through my favorite pearl, and that's enthusiasm. Every day, you got to bring a dose of enthusiasm. And I want to tell you a little story that'll bring enthusiasm to your life. You see, there was a carpenter by the name of Fred, and he was tired. He was burnt out. He couldn't do it anymore. He had worked for the same company for 35 years. So he went to his boss and said, "Boss, I'm done. I can't do this anymore." The boss was taken aback. This was his master carpenter. He had helped build every house in the constructions company he had owned. So he said to him, "Fred, could you please wait a minute? Could you just do me one more thing?" Fred said, "Well, of course, boss. I've loved it here. This is the only job I've ever had." And he said, "What would you like?" He said, "Well, Fred, build me one more house. Only you can do it. You're my master carpenter." So Fred said begrudgingly, "Yes, boss, I'll do it for you." But you know, his heart wasn't in it. He dragged his butt to work every day. Instead of working 18 or 20 hours a day like he used to, he only worked 2. And he did shoddy workmanship, something he had never done before in his life. But, you know, the house still passed inspection. And so he went to his boss, threw the keys on his desk and said, "Okay, I'm out of here." The boss said, "Just hold it, Fred. Everybody gather around. Everyone, this is Fred's last day. It's a very joyous day for him. I'm very happy for Fred, but I'm very sad because he's leaving us after all these years. And Fred, I've got one last gift for you for all the wonderful things that you did for me. Here's the keys to the last house you ever built. Please take them and live in this house forever with all the joy and enthusiasm you showed me for all the days you worked." You see, enthusiasm is not a Monday thing. It's not a Tuesday thing. It's not a Wednesday thing. It's a thing you got to bring all the time. You got to bring it to the table even when you don't want to. Right. Otherwise, you never know when that enthusiasm is going to make the day and bring it that way. So enthusiasm is one of our golden pearls.
Right. Or make a difference in somebody else's life, right? You know, our message and our enthusiasm could just be the thing that picks somebody else up and encourages them to have, well, let's say it like this, a groovy day.
Yes, and I'm going to make a challenge to all your audience here. I'm going to ask them to do something today for somebody else that they would not regularly do. I'd ask them to make somebody else's day groovy. I'd like them to give to somebody like they've never done. Maybe they could go and give something to the food bank because there's so many people hungry today. Maybe they can go to their neighbor and mow their lawn for them. Maybe they can go and just give somebody a smile or a kind word or a little bit of word of advice. I'd like them to pay it forward so that they can make it a better place. And that's how you and I will make the world a better place today. And that's
it's even
what
more
I'd like
powerful
to
when you do something like that without any expectation of a return.
Absolutely. I think it's very important to do that. This is not something you want something back for. It's something you just want to do because it's something that's so special and it comes straight from your heart and makes the world a better place and a more miraculous place. Yeah. Because I think that's really what it's all about.
Jackie and I are both about that concept and service work, and it's pretty cool. Did you have a question, Jackie? It looks like you're just chomping at the bit there.
Well, I heard through the grapevine that one of Harriet's favorite pearls is forgiveness. And and because she was harmed, physically harmed, and probably emotionally and mentally harmed as well by another human being, is that when you learned forgiveness? Were you able to forgive the stalker, the person who actually attacked you?
Yes, it wasn't easy because when you talk about forgiveness, you're often told by the experts you need to forgive very quickly so you can start healing. And that's not easy to do. It's easy to do if somebody cuts you off the traffic or somebody steals your parking spot. That's easy to do. You can forgive immediately. But if you go through a trauma or somebody hurts your child, that's very hard to do. Now, forgiveness is not a natural emotion. We're not born to forgive. It's a choice we make. What's natural is hate. So we're all born to hate, and we use hate as something to protect ourselves. And the definition, if you look in Wikipedia, hate is defined as the deep dislike for something or someone. So when people say, I don't want to hate, what they mean is I don't want to be angry, because anger is really, it's reactive. And it's out of control. But hate is an emotion we use to protect what we love. For example, I hate cancer because it's hurting, because I love my father. So you use that to protect what you have. So I had to use hate. I had to use 3 steps to learn how to forgive. So number 1, say why you hate and why. So I hate my stalker because he put me in the hospital. I hate my stalker because he put a scar on my leg. So that's number 1, the reason why you hate. Number 2, change the second sentence to love. I hate my stalker, but I love being healthy. I hate my stalker, but I love my perfect imperfections. And then the very last step is get rid of the hate and focus on love. I love being healthy. I love my perfect imperfections. And you do that in the morning and the afternoon. I love being healthy. And then you can add, and it becomes a love journal. So now you've gotten rid of the hate. Now you're focusing on the love. Because as a human, you need, the very first thing you need to own it first. And so you're in pain and then you heal. So that's what I use to get through it.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you talk about hate, because over the weekend, I listened to a concept about hate, and this is pretty much what I gathered from that is that, and this was in relation to what's going on in the world with all of the different factions, you know, fighting each other, and just all of the hate, the deep hate that is going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And the person put it out there that it's really, hate is spawned from the absence of God in that person's life. And actually that hate is directed at a belief that there is something bigger than yourself or more powerful than yourself. And you really can't get your head around that. So that hate just comes out. And I was just totally blown away by that description. And it even went to the point where they talked about it being a form of evil, right? Coming up through a person and being projected out. I was totally blown away. So I totally get what you're saying, Harriet. That was very cool.
Yeah.
So how does someone read your book? I mean, not how they read it, but how do they use your book to better their life? How do they use your wisdom? Are there some exercises in there, or some ways that they can use these steps, like Harriet just talked about in the steps of forgiveness? Are there other steps to be able to develop these things?
I think the easiest way is to learn your own way to use it. And I think each one is going to take this book and use it their own way in doing so.
Yeah.
That's why these are golden pearls. They're little bits and pieces that you can take. And we have a gift for everybody that may help them with that. And that is, we'd love to give everybody 52 golden pearls. And what that means is the following, that everybody can get a golden pearl every week for the next 52 weeks. And we'll send it to you by text. All you have to do is text us the word golden pearls, pearls with an S, to 1-819-717-2515, 1-819-717-2515. And each week we will send you a golden pearl to make your life that much better. It'll arrive on a Tuesday about 11 o'clock. It depends what time zone that you're in. And in that, you will get this golden pearl to remind yourself of some of the words of wisdom in this. Today it was about tenacious. Our first one is a quote by Reese Witherspoon, "You always gain by giving love." Okay? Now think about that one, and how if you were given that just out of the blue right now, how that would help make your day and help overcome that. You know, love is one of the few things you get more of just by giving. Yeah. And unfortunately, hate is one of those things you get more just by giving too.
That's the power of God too, really flowing through us is love.
Yes, so the important thing with love is you can get more just by giving a little bit of it away.
Totally.
So that's why I'd like people to concentrate on that and get a golden pearl a week. There's, as I say, these are free. There's no obligation with this. We just like to have people have a better day as a result.
Those come in as a text. Did I understand that right?
It comes in straight as a text. It's like a text out of the blue. Today it was on tenaciousness, and it was great because I needed some tenacity today to get through the day. And it just helped me that much more.
You needed some tenacity to deal with Todd and Jackie. I
I said, this is
Our
a day.
reputation precedes us.
This is a day that's a great day. And so I'm going to be tenacious and drag myself there, even though it's going to be such a hard thing, such a hard thing. Actually, it's been one of the most enjoyable shows that we've ever been on.
Yeah, it has.
Oh, Jackie.
How
and I
is
got
your
it.
health, Dr. Lycka? Have you been cured of the Lyme, or are there
Unfortunately,
managements?
some of these things are not curable. And so you go through treatment and you live with it and you deal with it. And so it's not something that it's an incurable disease, but if you stay on the path, if you stay doing the right things for you, it actually is kept in abeyance. And so I'm doing fine. I think my health is better now than it's been in years. But it's part of it is doing the right things that are right for you.
Do you remember or have a memory of an incident with a tick?
I used to live in the Minnesota area, and Minnesota is where I took my graduate degree in dermatology. Now, every weekend in that time, we'd go out. We'd go to Wisconsin. We'd go throughout Minneapolis. And, one of the endemic focus for Lyme's disease is that area. Wisconsin is a hotbed of Lyme's disease. So is the Minnesota area. Now, these ticks live on deer. They live on shrubs. They're there. And so, no, I do not remember a specific incident. But, I was tested with serology for Lyme's disease, and there is a specific test that looks for the parts of Lyme's disease, the bug that causes it. And yes, I was able to test positive on 14 of the 16 elements. So even though I don't remember something specifically, the history is there and everything's there. And, if you ask 10 doctors, you get 20 different diagnoses. So that doesn't always help. But the important with it is you get some amazing help along the way. And I was able to find something that works for me, and it's been working very well.
Very cool.
Nice. I'm so happy.
Oh my goodness, my friends. We only have about 4 minutes left. I told you that you were going to have a blast and it was going to go very quick. Did we meet those expectations?
This has been lightning fast. It's been like a lightning round, and we've done so much already, but I want to just bring in something here that's very important. And the main focus of our book is one saying, and it's by a person by the name of Epictetus, an ancient Greek from about 35 AD to 150 AD is when he lived. And he said, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. And I want you to realize that's really what it's all about. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens. Now, if you're given lemons, you can wallow in the fact that you've been given lemons, or you can make lemonade. Todd, I think you'd sooner prefer the lemonades to the lemons every day. Same thing with Jackie. So the point is, you can take an experience that's otherwise bad and then turn it into something good by what you do. So I want you to emphasize that your efforts are really important. Your actions are important. Don't adopt the victim mentality no matter what's happened to you. Don't adopt the things in your life as something that's going to be destroying you when you can overcome them. Just like steel is hardened by fire, that's what should something like this. It's your trials and tribulations in life that make you better and stronger. Not that I'd want anybody to go what Harriet and I have gone through, but learn that as an example to go forward. Look at what we've done and use this to strengthen you in your difficult times. Use this as a fact that we're survivors. We're people that learn to survive in some very difficult situations, and take this as some meaning and some inspiration to move forward from wherever you're at.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you both for being on the show today. I think there's many more things that we could have an awesome discussion about. So I'm going to put you on the list. Would you guys be willing to come back on the show?
We would, and I'm going to say, get Harriet back herself, because I'd like to explore her story even in more in depth. Let's explore my story in depth, and we would love that. And again, I'm going to call both of you up to be on my show as well, on our show, and Harriet and I will be there to interview you as well, to make this world a better place.
That's what this show and your show is all about.
Yeah.
That is about all we have time for today. I want to again thank our guests for making this a really cool show, and choose to check out their book. It's on Amazon, and choose to send a text to 819-717-2515. Put Golden Pearl, and you can receive a Golden Pearl every day via text.
That's Golden Pearls with an S. And if
Golden
they'd like to
Pearls.
check us out further, go to my website, Dr. Alan Lycla, DRALLEN, Lycka, LYCKA.com. It's all there. There's a media kit as well. Harriet and I are professional speakers as well. So we'd love to be on your stages, and we'd love to help you as coaches as well. So check us out.
There you go.
Yay.
Lastly, please make it a great day and tell your friends about Life Mastery Radio, because it's all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. It's been